Lauren, the streams say they've been paused. Okay, they're back. Great.
All right, everybody, in case you missed my introduction, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, a place for tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious to unite under all things art and tattoos. We encourage you to join in these live streams and real-world events where we offer a new option for to better your art, develop your skill set, and be with. If you're new to our community, you can find us beaming. We've evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that expands nearly every day. You're currently watching the Tattoo Weekly with myself, Lauren Gregory, Jake Meeks from our affiliate network, Fireside Tattoo, and Gabe Ripley, founder of Tattoo Now. To everyone joining us on YouTube or Facebook, and especially you who are listening to our podcast. Let's get the Tattoo Weekly on a roll. Let's welcome Gabe and Jake.
How goes it? I think it is working. Whew. Hey,
Nice job,
if it is, let us know in the chat rooms. And this would be a perfect time to share it around. I think, how are you guys doing?
Doing really well so far.
Whew. I got my clips in ahead of time, I think.
Yep,
Nice.
you did.
I did not, but I have them ready to go. I'm going to be, my fingers are going to be faster tonight. I know to click the use audio or allow audio button. I feel good. I feel good about my chances.
Awesome.
If you guys start putting the bets in, though, what's the over/under going to be on whether or not I get it right? We'll let the viewers decide.
Awesome. Let's see. We've got a Mighty One gives horns up and a smiley face with a cowboy hat. Ganjawana says, hello, Jake, Lauren, and Gabe, a familiar face in the chat rooms.
Awesome. Awesome. So what
Roberto says, cool.
What's our order of operations tonight? What are we going to talk about? I love to just kind of pop in with no planning whatsoever personally and just see what you guys came up with.
We do have a framework. It's a little bit stronger than it was before, potentially. We got a cheers from Vegas, says Mighty One. So let's see. So we do quick intros so that people know who the hell are watching.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that are watching for the first time. And then we have our one topic, which was either going to be, what was going to be? Maybe eco-friendly tattoo supply opinions, or I don't know, we had one other possibility. Oh, we also had the other news item where the history of women tattoos was not necessarily put into question, but it was, when you look further back, there's a lot of different women that got tattooed in all sorts of statuses. I think there's a lot of historians that are, they hear tattoos are for sailors and for bikers, or were for sailors and bikers. And I say it all the time. I used to say it all the time. And they were like, well, wait a minute. All sorts of other people got tattooed throughout history for hundreds of, tens of thousands of years. Anyways, so those were the two potential topics. If anybody has any topics that they want us to talk about, you could let us know in the chat rooms while we're doing our introductions, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to keep up with the Fireside stream. Oh, I'll tell you what I did real quickly before we do the introductions. This time I was really on the ball. Not only did I prepare clips for this week, I linked to the clips on the Fireside YouTube channel. First time ever. So I feel good about that. I really feel like I knocked it out of the park today.
Nice. First thing in the morning, I did put out on the Facebook and on maybe on the Reinventing group, I put out some links for some pretty cool old videos that that I had I was looking up. We should definitely make a theme for next week potentially, because then we can make thumbnails in advance. but it was pretty fun bouncing around. I downloaded like 6 videos, and only 3 of them actually downloaded, which were the ones that I made the clips of.
All right. Sweet. All right, let's hit these introductions and start talking about some tattoo news. Because I've been actually tattooing, and I've been out of the loop on what's happening in the world of tattooing.
Yeah, because it happened so fast, and with social off a day or two, it's smack in the face gone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
there's been a lot of different stuff happening, and new tech questions that I brought to the table today. Not necessarily videos, but conversation topics. So I'm definitely looking forward to you guys being active in the chat room, so I can kind of see what type of stuff you're looking for. With that said, I can go ahead and start my intro. Thanks for watching. I'm Lauren with Reinventing the Tattoo. I work with Raw Pigments and Worldwide Ink Magazine. I definitely enjoy traveling. That's going to be something I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm excited about tattoo conventions, connecting with artists, and I enjoy the geeky realm with Gabe.
Well, speaking of, okay, so I'm Gabe. I'm a computer geek. I've been doing tattoo computer stuff since the mid-90s, and I love the space between like computers, business, and art, ultimately to help artists fulfill their potential using all these tools that we have at our disposal. And I've been doing some more interviews for Tattoo Now, and I don't power, but I'm like the CTO of the Reinventing the Tattoo set of tools. So yeah, I'm excited. I've got a couple of clips that I pulled up, and also we plug something that we have going on next week, a good interview on Wednesday, and also producing or co-producing with Jake the Paradise BYOB that's happening in October
Exciting.
3rd to the 6th.
Surely, and we will have some updates on that today, so stay tuned. I'm excited about that. Gabe's been hard at work, and I think you do power Reinventing the Tattoo, Gabe. It seems to me that you're the engine behind it.
But obviously, guys, I'm the computer geek behind it.
Yeah.
He's a visionary energy.
The visionary. I'm Jake Meeks. I'm the founder of the Fireside Tattoo Network, where we have focused for the last 8+ years on blurring the lines between tattooing and fine art. I love painting. I love illustration. And so I've tried over the years to find commonalities between the world of tattooing and the world of fine art. And the reason I started doing that was because when I first started going and trying to dive into oil painting or watercolor painting, and I went to workshops and I would be in these workshops with full-time painters, and I told them that I was a tattooer, they would say, you could probably put some work in and be a painter. You wouldn't have to waste your time on that tattoo stuff. Not really that literally, but there was a very definite line between what they thought I was as a tattooer and what they thought they were as professional artists. And so I kind of started Fireside in an effort to bridge that gap a little bit. And over the last 8 years, we did it all by ourselves. Nobody else helped, just Fireside. It was awesome. That's not true, but we were a part. We documented the transition along the way, where really art focused tattooing has become the mainstream, and now there's really no need for a show like ours because everyone knows that tattooers are some of the best visual artists in the world. You can keep up with all of our episodes at firesidetattoo.com or our YouTube channel, which you might be watching this on. All right, that's all I got.
Okay, so what was the first top? Did we all Lauren, you introduce yourself proper?
She did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You did first. Yeah, okay, cool. So what do we want to talk about as far as topics are concerned? It didn't look like anybody in the chat room.
I brought up eco-friendly tattoo supplies, but there's hesitation because honestly, I'm not exactly as well versed. So maybe now would be jab for me because I'm interested to know your perspective on eco-friendly tattoo supplies, how they advertise, what's actually happening.
Yeah, I'm definitely down with. Well, for one, there's a wide variety of ways for tattoo shops or for any business to be making steps towards being, eco-friendly. So, that doesn't necessarily mean just finding, the half potato plastic, degradable plastic supplies. It could mean, making sure that your lights are, energy efficient lights. It can make there's a lot of low hanging fruit. Make sure that the actual physical space is like just sealed up properly. There's eco, but then again, so then we have the difference between different plastic trash bags. So in that case, are the eco-friendly trash bags actually eco-friendly? I guess it's somewhat arguable. As far as there's a couple different tattoo supply companies that are catering towards that philosophy, and so I might potentially argue that even if some of those eco-friendly focused tattoo supply companies might have, like I said, some of that potato plastic, again, it's arguable if it's like half plastic, half bio, and it just degrades finer, then it just ends up putting more finer plastics into the environment. But again, if we're trusting in a business whose goal it is to be eco-friendly, they're going to be on the cutting edge of that. So I mean, I would be trusting in them to guide us in the way. I guess I just wrap it up. I haven't had a tattoo shop in a couple of years, but when I did, we were jamming. There was a ton of tattooers there, and I was just watching mountains of garbage. And we made it a point that every monthly meeting we would talk about something that we could do or come up with ideas to be a little bit more eco-friendly, because nothing happens overnight. But if you take little steps every month or every 3 months, that's how you get to a better way to do it. Anyways, that's my rant.
My big question anytime we use categories that are as broad as eco-friendly or organic or any choose the term, it's like I'm always curious, to your point, Gabe, what the catalyst was for that company to, let's say we're talking eco-friendly tattoo supplies. To your point, I think you really have to know the people behind it, and whether or not they're using the best plastic, the best garbage bag that they can right now until something comes available and it puts finer plastics in the environment, or it doesn't. It's probably less relevant than what their real kind of purpose is as a company, or as the people that drive the company. And a lot of times I feel like we throw these terms around just to fit the I'm not finding the term that I'm looking for, but to fit the mainstream, to appeal to a group of people. We maybe they know just how many people search for certified organic or search for eco-friendly, and they do just enough to meet those minimum requirements and call themselves that, or maybe don't do enough to meet the minimum requirements and just kind of slap the label on their products anyways, hoping that they don't get caught. That's the thing I always think of whenever I guess I just kind of brush off those types of terms personally whenever I see like eco-friendly or certified organic. A lot of times I feel like it might just be a scam.
There are a couple of tattooer run, like it feels like, who the fuck knows? I haven't like interviewed them or talked to them or anything, but it feels like there's a couple. There's one up in Canada that Sandy had mentioned at one point. I think they had put in some samples at one point. There's like 2 or 3 different companies. There's a place over in England. I'm sure there's a couple in America too. Again, they're like tattooers who actually care. I mean, the thing is, like I was saying, right. When I had the shop, we were making active measures, towards this stuff. We were doing the things, again, like I said, just one little simple thing a month. Maybe we did it for a year and a half, 2 years, before the shop ended up closing up. But there's always something that you can do, right? And there are people. Actually, I had on my list, find a. Again, I'm sure there's scam artists too, but there's also real people that will give you an audit and let you know how, eco-friendly, eco-balanced, your tattoo shop or whatever your business might be is. Mm-hmm. Well, Lauren, what's your take on it? Because you deal with inks and
right. That's a good question. Is that something that the ink manufacturers that you've worked with keep it think much about the bottles that they're using, the pigments that they're using?
I can't say that I've witnessed anybody actually having those conversations necessarily in a straightforward manner. I know that the bottles themselves could definitely be rethought. My buddy Trent Velo down at Devotion Tattoo Studios has brought that to my attention, who owns Relief Relief Numbing Gel. So it would be hard for me to see possibly more better thought out packaging in terms of plastic, even the caps, all that types of stuff. There's definitely ways that we could look into, but I know there is a large cost. If you think about the equipment that we're using, there's a lot of play. So, if that was the future, I'm type of companies that would accommodate and would be happy to, but do they have the ability to at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were actively pursuing this, it was not the cheapest route, but we were a respectable tattoo shop that was pretty busy, and the amount of the costs, for tattoos, per the, at least the tattoos that we were doing, we were averaging, 2 hours ish, I think, per tattoo, maybe, give or take a little. It's worth spending a little bit more. Like I said, if you start having, it's way easier to implement when you have 2 or 3 artists. By the time that you have 15 artists, like I said, I'm just looking at mountains of garbage, going out the back, and it's horrendous. So anything that we could anything we could do, if people have the mindset that there's something that we can do, the powers that be, want us to just, give up and just, do the easiest thing, which is, by definition, the easiest thing to do. Anyways.
Yeah, cool. I think that manufacturers too can function by doing those small steps that you were talking about, Gabe, rather than necessarily jumping into the most. But yeah, friendly packaging. If you're talking about like,
sure,
what do you use? What types of boxes? Packaging. Even everyday functionality within your warehouse or locations. So.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm multitasking. I'm trying to read all these comments on the stream and listen at the same time. But yeah, I think the biggest thing when it comes to eco-friendly tattooing is probably, and I don't know this for a fact, but I would think shops like Gabe, what you ran, or some of the other bigger shops that we talk about that have 15, 20 artists, if they're taking small measures to like reduce their footprint, it's probably far more effective than any one company that's an eco-friendly tattoo supplier. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many more tattoo shops cranking out tons of garbage. So outside of the supplier themselves, the supplier is only one piece of the puzzle. I mean, Gabe, I'm sure you may not know offhand, but like a small percentage of what you used at Off the Map actually came from a tattoo supply company, or maybe not a small percentage. A lot of it came from Costco or from Target or from all types of other places, right?
Some of it, yeah. We probably we wouldn't do like any Walmart runs or nothing. Like I said, I mean, it was a while ago, and I was not actually the one that was doing the ordering. But if we had to err on the side of like hitting something that was like we would spend a little bit more being conscious of where it went. But on the other hand, I'm sure that at points when we were slimming on a cost or something, that we were doing what we needed to do.
Yeah.
But but by the time that we were doing pretty well. And that's kind of the thing. The markup on tattoos. Again, there's so many different factors, and I we don't want to necessarily talk about anybody's numbers. In an open thing, and everyone's got a wide variety of ways that they're doing it in a wide variety of geographies. But as I was saying, kind of in the text, like if you're a tattooer and you're working and you're making art and you give a shit, I'm sure that however much it costs to actually give a shit, you're making up for by attracting clients who give a shit, or by attracting other guest artists who also care. But I kind of also always have run under that kind of by gut philosophy.
Yeah.
Don't trust me to make any money.
Right. Yeah. I just I think that probably the greatest good is done by tattoo shops or tattooers doing whatever they can, regardless of what supplier they're buying from. Doing whatever they can do. Like something that I could definitely do a better job of is I go through gloves and paper towels, but they're like part of my process of thinking about the tattoo. So I change gloves probably an obscene amount of times. Like you should change gloves, but not as often as I change gloves. I do it whenever I'm looking at the tattoo. I just change gloves. get more paper towels, change gloves, get more paper towels. It's just a way of me to break away from the tattoo. It's a terrible habit, but it's something that if I paid attention to just that, I could probably have a pretty big impact just doing that, regardless of if I was buying my supplies from Amazon or Kingpin or a eco-friendly supplier.
Having the mentality is like 9/10 of it, right? Or maybe not 9/10 of it. I don't know what it is, but like, in some ways it's pivotal. Like without the mentality, you're never going to be going in that direction. But if you have that mentality, then again, all these things move slowly but surely. So if you move 3%, every year, all of a sudden in 10 years, you've moved 30% in the right direction, which is a significant amount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Any comments on this? The comments that I was seeing weren't really related to this. There's some conversations happening on the fireside chat.
Not all talking about like scratching out of their houses and shit. No, I'm just joking.
yeah.
Everyone has to pay for their own tattoo karma.
Right. Yeah.
The quicker you jump in, the more cover-ups on your friends and your family is all.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's move on. I may try to help with some of this stuff in the comments. I don't know that we want to dive into some of the topics that are going on the Fireside channel right now or not.
Let's hit on some of the videos maybe, and then
I will real quickly. There's one person that asked, "Can I line with a mag?" And we do have not that I'm trying to give technical advice, but we do have a really interesting video that I actually got from the idea from Jeff Insminger and Guy Aitchison about why you might line with a mag. And if you Google that 0M, you could find about a 10-minute video on just the thoughts behind that, why you might or might not do that. Okay, let's move on.
Awesome.
The first video I have is Gabe's the dark skin body art with Guy from that panel.
Oh yeah, cool. So this is from the one of the virtual tattoo gatherings. There was a full panel on dark skin body art, and this is Brandon. He goes over a lot of the myths that are just bullshit. And let me. I don't know when it's on. I'll just turn myself off and let them give it let them speak for themselves here.
But yeah, I've before too. Although the guy that I learned to tattoo from, he fortunately, he wanted everybody's business. So he actually had a few pretty good pieces of advice for working on darker skin, and a lot of them are things that I've followed this day, including just to sort of slow down and take care and make sure you've got good lighting so that you can just do a nice job of it. And it's not actually rocket science, but I know there's a lot more to it than that. And here's the list. So, Brandon, let's hear about that.
Okay, the history behind this shirt was basically I was just sitting back just thinking I wanted to make a dope shirt for the collective, but I wanted to be a little bit different, and I wanted to be relatable, and I always just thought about these excuses. They were always in my head. But remember in Ink Master, I think it was the guy Steve Teft had said something about when you go to dark skin, you can't utilize 50% or something of your skill set. And he actually said it on TV, and it was playing because I don't really watch a lot of reality TV. So it just popped in my head. I was like, man, you know what? I think I'm gonna put every excuse that I've heard. It ain't all of them, but I'm just gonna put them on a shirt. And the biggest one that I always hear from clients and from artists alike actually are, "You're too dark for color." Or they'll say, "I'm too dark for color." The second one, it can't be detailed because you're too dark. I had to go deeper because you're so dark. That one struck home because a lot of guys that we were talking about cover-ups earlier, have a lot of them, their scar keloided up. And the person blames it on the fact that they had to go deeper in the skin because they're darker to get the ink to stay. Like, that's what they're being told. And since people don't know, they just, they roll with it. Dark skin doesn't hold color well was another one that I've heard from one of the artists that used to work in my first shop. He was like, black people's skin doesn't hold color well at all. It just falls right out. It's a waste of time. you can only show 2 different tones in black skin before, everything else is a waste of your time. And this is what I was hearing when I first got into tattooing back in 2009, 2010-ish. What's the other one? They don't take pics of tattoos on dark skin because it was pointless. It doesn't show up. A lot of guys have problems with the glare, things of that nature. So a lot of people just wouldn't take pics of it. Color tattoos fade in a shorter amount of time. Was another big one. My apprentice years, I definitely heard this one a lot. If you mess up on dark skin, actually, if you mess up on a black guy, it doesn't matter because it's not going to show anyway. One of my shop owners even believed this. I'm not going to say his name, but yeah, he was a black guy.
It was really an amazing panel. Full of all the artists are ridiculously talented, so it's well worth checking it out. Brandon goes on, he lists off all of the other kind of lazy myths that are out there, and it's just really worth tattooers making sure that you do the homework, get in there and really learn about what's possible, because again we're it's a whole round of culture that is awesome, that it's it's amazing to see how easily a lot of that shit's just dispelled, and how easy it kind of gets around. So in any event, it's a sick panel. It was from the virtual tattoo gathering. I'm not sure whether it was it's either the Hyperspace channel or the Reinventing channel, but if you do a search for dark skin body art discussion panel, you'll find it.
I love that. I'll have to go back and watch that. I love the really the scary one out of that is I had to go deeper because it's dark skin.
Oh
It's
man,
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Oh,
and
my God.
it's funny. Like if you follow any of those pages on the Instagrams or
Yeah.
wherever, then you'll just see what's possible. And obviously, there's tattooers who've been killing it for a while, more and more every day.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love those myths. What his name is Brandon? What is his last
Brandon
name?
Bean.
Brandon Bean. Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
from
dark skin.
Virginia.
Okay.
Dark skin body art is the Instagram.
That's that's awesome. There are one of the biggest videos that we ever did with Fireside was effectively tattooing dark skin. So it is, I mean, the reason you see a lot of those myths pop up and perpetuate is because it is a challenge, and it's not there's not any one solution for it. Unfortunately, you're working with a limited value range, and so but man, that I had to go deeper. That's a scary one, because a lot of times the real thing is a lot of times darker skin does tend to swell and keloid more. It will actually scar up, and so it makes the cover up so difficult. A lot of times, I'm dealing with one right now that's been pretty challenging, not because of the tattoo, but because of the scar, because of the texture of the tattoo, So myths like that, man, scary.
Yeah. So, Lauren, what was which one's the next one?
The Sean Barber. Let's go ahead and roll the
Sean
clip.
Barber. Oh, he's awesome. I fired him up. He's going to be teaching a paradise. I don't know. I was going to say intensive, but it's more like out of the way. If there's a bed and breakfast event, Nick and Sean are going to be painting and tattooing at next April. It's only like 7 people for 3 days and maybe a field trip day. So if anybody's interested in that, then they could let us know. But Sean's awesome. I fucking love Sean, and it's a pretty cool clip. It's I think it's like 4 minutes, but it's got an amazing closing. So let's let it roll.
It's just there's only in terms of exhibitions. I've been showing tattooed portraits since 2005. I think was it 2015. I had a kind of a 12-year retrospective. No, what year was that? I had a retrospective at the Shreveport in Shreveport. And then a couple of years ago, Lyle Tuttle did an exhibition in San Francisco, and I kind of presented an overview of tattooed portraits at that time. And then the last 2.5 years, I've been working on a body of work for exhibit here in Los Angeles, and with two close friends, two incredible painters, Carl Dobsky and Justin Coro Kaufman. And we were supposed to have an exhibition opening here June 13th at Maxwell Alexander Gallery. But we decided to postpone it because we all make a lot of very large scale work, and we're all close friends, and Cora lives in Washington, and we want our families and friends to be here to enjoy the work and enjoy each other, and try to get our communities to come together and just enjoy art. So pushing it back to January next year is what we got to do. And this is me, especially with those paintings, because I've been working on them, and I'm getting to spend more time with them, which is it's been nice. Like, I'm not rushing anything. I don't feel forced into having to do anything. Like I have, when I'm painting any painting in context to this tattooed portrait series, rarely in my mindset is this going to sell? Like, I'm rarely making paintings, personal paintings, with an idea of, oh fuck yeah, man, somebody's gonna want to buy this. Like, this is gonna sell. I'm making things that my community is gonna be stoked on this image, because this is somebody that we all look up to, and the context of the pose or where that person's placed, or whatever it is. I'm more excited about people who are close to the individuals I'm doing paintings of, to be like, oh yeah, dude, you like captured our friend. And to me, that's what it's about. It's about documenting our community, and whatever happens to these paintings, so be it. They're I'm fortunate that I do sell work, trade work. I keep some things, but it's to me, that's not the bottom line. And I'm lucky, as tattooists. If we make tattoos, somebody pays us for craft, our time, our efforts. As a painter, it's not always the case. And I know for a lot of friends, it's life's a roller coaster financially. And you're either in it for the long haul or get the fuck out.
Yes, the roller coaster. I apologize that my light is flashing here. In the next break, I'm going to try to figure that out. Anyways, Sean Barber is just an awesome guy, and he's an accomplished painter who has made the transition over into tattooing with the help of a lot of kind of old school people. So it's fun to see the real traditional tattoo roots and the portrait painting. And so also just to let people know real quick, I'll give it a minute plug. Yeah, we're doing like an inspiring tour with Nick Baxter and Sean Barber next April 11th to the 14th in New Hampshire. It's this amazing bed and breakfast in North Conway. So the first day will be roughly Baxter and everyone, 7 people. Like I said, I believe there's only 5 to 7 spots that are open. Well, a couple of them already taken, but we'll be going out to do plein air painting with Nick the first day, and then doing a portrait with Sean the next day. And then the third day, they'll be working on a collaborative tattoo and talking about how, oh man, this light's killing me. But they'll be talking about how their paintings can inform their tattooing and whatnot. So yeah, that's inspiring tours. Don't go to the website though, because that still has an old event. But if you're interested, Gabe at tattoonow.com. It's a couple grand. Like I said, it's like a very exclusive 3 days and then a day of field trips. Anyways, so that's Sean Barber. He's worth finding anywhere you can. And he's got a lot of YouTube videos and whatnot. So do a search for Sean Barber and look him up.
And yeah, he's really, really incredible. One of the folks he was talking about painting with, that Carl Dobsky, I've been following for a while. Really, really spectacular, man. That guy has he has a kind of an approach like a Caravaggio or something like that, and really is doing crazy paintings. You should follow him. Dobsky, I think. Carl Dobsky.
It's great.
Yeah,
Hunter Young's in the chat room here. Hey, Hunter. I chat with your dad sometimes on the Facebooks. His dad's a tattooer. Do you remember the Hunter guy from the Drunk Critique?
I do not, but I only did a couple of Drunk Critiques. I didn't do that many.
It is also, that's a loaded question. Do you remember the Drunk Critique?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Anyways, he's a great tattooer. He should do, I think I'm trying to get him to do a guest spot over at Jesse Smith's.
Nice.
But,
Yeah, the only thing I remember about Drunk Critiques is when I wake up the next morning and go, oh shit, what did I say on the Drunk Critique?
It is bad news to he's not able to make it to the BYOB. He'll be doing some rock and roll things, country rock and roll things. I'm trying to figure out whether we do Drunk Critique or not then.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just do like we have happy hour. We're going to be doing happy hours.
Yeah, maybe
which
we can make
makes
it
a lot more
bit.
sense than doing like a full on.
Yeah, I think so.
And we're doing the full like career critiques at the end. The last event's going to be like the tattoo Shark Tank, where we have all the shop owners interviewing the tattooers like all at the same time.
Exciting. Yeah. Do we want to, before we move on to other highlights from the other shows, do we want to, since you were just talking about the Inspiring Tour, we can run through who has been added since last week to the Paradise BYOB?
Okay, so like I said, Bob had to unfortunately bow out, but Jesse Levitt has signed on. He's going to be doing he's doing like an automatic drawing, kind of creepy seminar, like in his style. I'm kind of hoping that he does a 2-day one too, maybe, because he thought that he was doing it on Tuesday. And I was like, well, I have you on Wednesday, but maybe if you wanted to do a drawing one on Tuesday and tattooing on fake skin on the next day, that would be cool. Because that's what Mike DeVries is doing. I don't know if we caught up about Mike DeVries since last time, but he's going to be coming. We did a cool interview. I was pretty psyched with the interview with him. Oh, except for we did have one little internet glitch, but whatever. And point being is he's doing one day that is like his Trompe l'Oeil 3D tattooing formula presentation. And then the next day, there's an optional workshop where it's going to like be a 5-hour workshop. People tattoo their skins, and he'll be right there and kind of help everybody along. So it's kind of like a collaborative tattooing. Nice. So that was with Mike DeVries. Who else? I don't know. It's hard to keep up. Today I worked on one of the videos that I have. We can play my next video at the end though, because it's not an ad. It's a clip with for a tattooer. But Hunter Spanks, he does watercolor, like traditional watercolor. Works at the Baltimore Tattoo Museum. He did a traditional seminar like 10 years ago, I think, at the gathering. So I'm wicked excited that he's coming back. It's just really fun to be able to, again, kind of bring together different schools of tattooing. We do and can all actually get along. Mickey from the London Tattoo Convention is obviously a great inspiration on somebody who, again, really can bring together the like minds of the different types of tattoos, and everyone kind of leaves all of the political bullshit and drama behind.
Yeah.
Speaking of, now in one of the archives when Mickey spoke with Alex on a history of tattoo conventions. It was a fantastic interview, and you can find that in the Reinventing community. I would definitely
Yeah, that
rewatch
was
that.
great.
Mhm.
It's in a podcast too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's in the podcast. Hunter here in the chat room says you need to make more drunk critiques. I have some stuff I need to get ruined. You know, we tried. We had a Tommy Lee who's going to be doing a drunk critique, but it was cursed so twice. That drunk critique is it's a beast. That's all there is to it. It's just a beast. So and it has to be tamed. As soon as you open up that drunk critique box too much,
Yeah.
it's not pretty.
Yeah, absolutely. It can get out of hand, and it's it seems to me I only did a handful of them, 2 or 3, but it's like once someone starts to get overly like critical, it goes downhill. And if the person who of course you're putting a piece into something called drunk critique, so you can only expect so much, but it starts to go downhill kind of fast after a little while if people are ready to start bashing stuff, and they'll just bash for no good reason at all and not offer any constructive criticism. So I know I was guilty of that a little bit. So
Yeah, people. There's also it tends to drive on for 9 hours. For the most part, no one's really all that super cruel, even if they get pretty sloppy. But it can get pretty sloppy. There's no question about that.
They are fun though.
Usually they end up drifting off, and people are like, "Please critique more work," and people are just having fun talking.
Right.
Kind of like they would at the after hours party. But the point is with those drunk critiques is don't take them for granted. Next time we have one, show up, tell your friends, tell all your other friends. And if you know any liquor or beer distributors, definitely let them know, because, I mean, if they ship us the booze, then we'll do a drunk critique. I mean,
yeah. All right. So you said you do have another one, but you want to save it until...
Yeah, we can put that one last because it's, anything for the convention. It's kind of like, it's not half ad, but it is also... It's also a subtle plug for something. So let's move on to another.
Jake, do you want to roll with your clips? I've got some more conversational topics to speak on.
Do that.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll start by just plugging, and I didn't pull a clip for it, but we've been rolling them all week on Instagram. Our episode last week with my friend Adam Shaw, we rolled one of his clips last week, and that episode was really interesting. He's not a tattooer. I think tattooers need to listen to non-tattooers in the art world as much as they can, especially successful ones, and Adam is that. And he talked a good bit about his process for creating pulp novels, for creating illustrations for storyboards. He's done lots of storyboarding for movies and things like that, sequential narrative, all those types of things. And that was really a fun episode. And he's someone that I wish lived closer to me, because I would like to just to have him as a permanent co-host. He's really easy for me to hang out and talk to. He's a very quiet, mild-mannered guy, but super super smart, incredibly talented, big influence on me, and funny in his own kind of offbeat way. So let me play our upcoming episodes. This coming week. Actually, I'm wrong. Not this coming Wednesday, but next. We're taking this week off to finish up our newest course, so you will not see anything new from Fireside this week. But next Wednesday, we will have Cooper from formerly of Guru Tattoo. He's traveling, I believe, now, and I wanted to play a clip from Coop from the last time we had him on the show, when we were talking about how ink really gets into skin. And this was back whenever I was just I had just had a meeting with someone who worked with NASA in fluid dynamics. And we were talking about how friction, drag, things like that against fluids, and how to make something, how to reduce surface tension. We compared it to things like hard water in certain areas of the country as opposed to soft water, and how that feels on your body. And then we tried to relate that all to tattooing. And I was talking to Coop before we started the episode about this conversation that I'd had with this fluid dynamics guy, and his mentor had actually told him something similar. So I pulled this clip that I thought was really interesting and fitting for what we were working on at that point in time. So let me roll it. This is an episode from about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've linked to it in the show notes on the Fireside YouTube channel. Didn't do it, did I? Dang it. I knew I screwed it up. Hold on.
My mentor taught me, his analogy was like, if you stand in a shallow riverbed, you take a stick, you jam it in there, and then you pull it out. It's the water that sucks the water. It's the suction that takes the water into the mud itself. Right. And so that's kind of how you start to think about the technical part. You have to consider, movement. If you're moving to the side with that stick and you pull it to the side, it's going to change how the water goes in there or out, how much damage, how much it fucks up the bottom of that riverbed, that kind of thing. Yeah. But the idea is that, if you can control the speed, you know how fast you're moving side to side, and you do that, and you know exactly what kind of stick you have, you can control how much ink goes into the skin. And so if it has like a boot or a flat-ended stick, if it goes in there, it has a little bit of corner, it pulls more in there than something with this very gradual taper the whole way, where it would do a lot of damage or go very deep into the riverbed but not necessarily pull a ton of water back in behind it.
So that was my backup here. Stop sharing screen. There we go. So yeah, that was Coop talking about how how ink really enters skin through a vacuum and not through being pushed in, like so many of us thought, kind of coming up in tattooing, which is what I learned through my conversations with this fluid dynamics guy. And then we ended up after this doing a really interesting series on tattoo physics and tattoo science. And if you search Fireside, how ink gets into skin, or just go to our playlist that's called Tattoo Physics, we talk a good bit about how ink really gets into skin, how to reduce surface tension, things like that. And it's cool because it's one of those things like, if you spend all day making little circles, staring at people's skin, you start thinking about what's actually happening because you've done it. I've been doing it 25 years and I sit there and I make these marks over and over. And I think all the people that told me what was happening, they didn't know any better than I actually know now. They were just kind of either passing on information or making their best guess, but none of us were ever really trained in anything like that. So talking to someone who actually does know what's happening in the skin was really interesting. And then coming across Coop, who had a similar kind of story, a similar background, or his mentor had kind of taught him something similar to what I was learning in tattoo physics, I thought was super cool. This next episode that we do with Coop will actually be a part of our illustrative series, though. He does really, really beautiful illustrative style tattooing. And the reason that we started talking about how ink gets into skin is because we were talking about his ability to put in these huge fields of medium to light gray wash that are absolutely flawless. And he talked about his kind of relationship with the machine, with his hand motion, with the way that the needle's going in the skin, his thought process. And that's how we ended up kind of into that conversation. So I'm really excited about this episode coming out, not this Wednesday, but next with my buddy Coop. He is The Superstition on Instagram. If you're not familiar with him, he's really, really good. Do you guys want me to go ahead and play my second clip, or you got anything to say about tattoo science and Coop?
I was just going to say, was a comment in one of the chat rooms. Sugar Waters says, my favorite episodes are the scientists and engineers. To which I would also, I agree with you and with them. Same, listening to the scientists and the engineers and all the brainiacs are. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, because it's such a different perspective. When you do the same thing every day and you kind of, you've got these hard and fast ideas about what it is that you do, what you've been trained to do, what the people before you did. And then whenever you hear someone that comes at it from a completely different perspective, in a way that not that you're wrong and they're right, but in a way that you've never really considered, it's it's eye-opening, at least mind-opening. You're just like, oh, never thought of it that way. When I was first told that I'd never pushed ink into skin, and they compared it to stepping in a muddy hole, with a boot on, and they're like, when you pull the boot out of the hole, what happens? And you can picture it. You're like, oh yeah, water kind of fills up into the hole. Like, right, you didn't push the water into the hole. The water fell into it through a vacuum, into the hole, or in that case, probably more just gravity and seeping into the hole. But if you were to pull your foot out really fast, you would rush water in faster than if you slowly worked your foot out. And so just that, that was just something that would have never occurred to me. I just assumed there were particles of ink on the needles, and I punched those needles into the skin, and it left the particles behind whenever the needle retracted. And really, for the most part, whenever that needle hits the skin, the ink floods out onto the skin. Almost none of it actually is punctured into the skin with the needle itself. It's completely cleaned off by the skin and dispersed out across the skin. So, I love learning stuff like that and finding new perspectives. And you're right, whoever made that comment, it's the people that come at it from another discipline, not tattooing, that end up teaching us so much. All right, I'm going to try to do better this time. Here we go. Ready? This is my second clip. This is from the archives. This is Rory Keating, and I pulled this because it was from the same series. We went 2 or 3 years ago and spent a week at Aaron Delvedo's Guru Tattoo in beautiful, beautiful San Diego, and we sat down with Rory Keating, who I did not know at all leading up to the podcast. But he specializes in tribal and like American style tribal tattooing, what we would consider tribal, those of us who tattooed 20 years ago and more. Things like, what am I looking for? Like Celtic, things like that. So pattern-based, line-based black work. And he actually came up, he was trained by Leo Zuleta, kind of the godfather of tribal tattooing back in that era.
That's great.
Yeah. So Rory was a really interesting guy. I liked him a lot. And I don't want to try to get into too much of how he ended up working with Leo Zuleta or getting the apprenticeship with Leo, because he tells it better than I do and I'll mess it up. But you should definitely click on the link, which is in the Fireside show notes, and watch that episode after this live stream is over. I'm going to try to make this fast. Here we go. I'm going to click and share.
Coils. I switched over. So now what I use I was always coils. And what I've always used for fill is rounds, not mags, which is weird. But
Yeah.
It's like what you're filling. You're filling with a liner. It's not a liner. It's not tight.
Yeah.
It's loose. But then a couple of years ago, we switched over to a swash drive whip for doing my solid fill, which I got turned on to by Coop. Because all the times people, because I do with black, so there's always one of the guys who's like, "Oh, dude, you got to try this new ink. It's amazing." And I tried the new ink, like, no, I'm gonna stick with. I use dynamic. I've used always dynamic.
That's how you done it.
And I was like, "Oh, you got to try this needle. You got to try this machine." Everyone's always saying, it's great for black. And every time, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm using the same thing I did from basically the beginning. And then Coop came up with this swash drive whip, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. That looks kind of goofy. And yeah, the thing puts the black in really good. Second generation. First generation is really soft and smooth. The second generation is good for black, and I don't know what the third generation is good for.
Mowing your lawn.
Yeah, you can't get this, and you can't get the first or the second generation anymore, which is unfortunate because I like both of those. One for grays and the other one for black.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Roy was really a great episode, really a great interview, just a down to earth guy. And he loves, man, even to this day, makes a living doing like Celtic and tribal work because he's like one of the very few people who specialize in it, who have a portfolio full of it, especially in Southern California, I would think. And so, if you go to his Instagram, Stormcrow Tattoo, that's basically what you'll see. So he's kind of got a corner on that market. And that was a really great episode from 2018, 2019. Like I said earlier, both of those episodes are in the show notes on the Fireside stream of this Tattoo Weekly.
People should definitely be checking out the Aaron Deladova ones too. That whole Guru tattoo is an amazing tattoo legacy. But and Aaron, he's awesome. He's
Great
one of
guy.
my favorite interviews. One of my favorite tattooers for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's all I have. We're Lauren. What do you have for this week?
All right, guys. I actually want to bring up and topics and I guess highlights, so to speak, rather than videos. I did do some cool videos last week, but we do have some cool for next week as I'll be traveling. But I did come across a kind of interesting topic that I don't know much about, and I'm interested to see what people have to say. I'm going to share my screen quick from just something I found on Instagram recently. So as you can see here, this is what they say the latest tattoo tech. It's from Intense Tattoo Inc. Their post is saying that they're using skin chips to study tattoo ink safety risks. And then they're kind of alluding to, not saying much about what's going on, but go to the Coalition for Tattoo Safety conference to find out more. So if anybody has or what they think, I'd be interested to see. But notice it's really vague. I'm wondering about timing because this is either it's a response to the pigment stuff that's happening in Europe, or has this been ongoing? And exactly what are they trying to do? Is this an allergy test? You know, what's the purpose? And by the comments, I'm seeing that they're trying to learn about the safety risks associated with pigments.
Yeah,
I'm not
you
exactly
know what's
sure.
funny. What's funny is whenever you sent in our group text message earlier that you were going to say something about to talk about skin tests. My first thought was about like color in particular skin types. I wasn't thinking at all about tattoo safety. I was thinking about, I've been thinking about that a lot too. It's like, you know how Russ Abbott did the color wheel years ago? It's like, it'd be cool if there was a filter with different skin tones where you could see the healed color wheel, you know, what it actually would look like, you know, in a, with different skin types, like a little more olive, a little more red, a little more whatever. So I was way off on what I thought we were going to talk about here.
Sorry, guys. It kind of just blew my mind because I'm thinking like there's that huge question by everybody. They're like, well, how do you study the effects of the long-term effects? And it's really nothing I've seen anything like this by any manufacturer yet. So I guess it kind of sparks my interest.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I've seen some other news headlines about people that, or, you know, scientist-y types and professor types that would be using different types of, and again, it's like tattoos or like stuff under the skin that will, you know, react to different chemistries. I think it's awesome that Intense is in, you know, to actually have a real. This is the first time that I've heard of a real tattoo company that was involved with this type of technologies. And I mean, it is, you know, they have to keep running, you know, and I think Intense, you know, not that I don't know everybody else's business. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I don't think they're owned. I think that Mario still owns it 100%, or, you know, so it's fun to see. You know, a tattoo-owned ink company, you know, run with this kind of technology. I'm not going to go to Las Vegas, but I'm more tempted now than I was before. Hopefully they'll be mouse shit. I'll tune in for sure.
Yeah, I'm super interested. If anybody's going, just I don't think I can make it at that time either, but pretty cool.
Yeah,
I actually canceled a cannabis tattoo or cannabis convention in Vegas for 4 days.
Oh man.
But that was pre-COVID. But no, Vegas is it's cool. Actually, Hunter is talking about going to Vegas, going to that show, so he can maybe Hunter, maybe you'll beam us in, so be our correspondent.
Yeah. I wonder, you know, and like you guys, I don't know what exactly that's about, but the being able to determine long-term impacts, you know, there are so many things that science can that they can, what's the term? Fast forward, that they can like
predict the model of the future.
Yeah, project future models, or so I wonder if that's maybe something, if that's what it is, they can project what might happen in the future with AI.
I was talking to Jason about this because there was a few articles. Once you start digging, the rabbit hole just gets deeper. where I needed some help because it's really higher level stuff that they're talking about with 2D versus 3D modeling. And but yeah, stay tuned. Maybe we can talk after that conference, something like that, to see what it is happening.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking through comments. I can't see the name because I don't have my glasses on, but Gun Joanna, I think, says Tribal was big in the 90s and they blamed Jason Momoa. I don't know that he was born in the 90s, though. I don't know if you can blame Jason Momoa for that.
No, it was Clooney and From Dusk to Dawn for our generation, or for my generation at least.
Yeah. Man, the worst tribal tattoo that I ever did. Oh, thanks. My wife brought me my glasses. The worst tribal I ever had to do. The worst tribal I ever had to do in my life was. Did either of you guys see or anyone watching see the Dragon movie with Matthew McConaughey? Back, is that right? Matthew McConaughey. It was. Someone in the comments tell me what it was called. He had these like matching tribal dragons that went over his whole body, like down his hips, over his back, and over his chest. And sure enough, after that movie came out, I got stuck trying to do that tattoo.
Well, speaking of tribal and recent stuff, Hana Mantra recently did like a 4 or 5 hour tattoo on the back of a woman's neck and head to a DJ set, which was pretty awesome. It was definitely pretty early for me. I got up and I clicked the buttons that, it wasn't that early, but it was pretty cool. Hana Mantra's, if anybody's interested in the black work, definitely look up Hana Mantra. He's out of control good with it. Very, very thoughtful. He puts more thought into his black work tattoos than most people put into their tattoos.
Yeah. Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire is the name of the movie I was thinking of. Yeah.
Did somebody pull through with that?
It just popped into my head. I don't know if someone else beat me to it, but yeah, it just popped in my head. Yeah. All right, what else do you have?
Well, if you guys want to touch on current events, I have to mention, and of course, shout out. I'll show you the live feed of Sturgis 2021. I'm interested. Yeah, I'm interested to see if anybody's been, or if anybody's there tattooing.
Gabe, didn't we have someone on the morning drawing group not too long ago that was taking a whole team of people up to Sturgis?
Oh,
this is a live cam of what's happening now. I don't see any tattooing happening. My story about Sturgis is, well, for one, I've spent years like with my motorcycle world and tattoo world kind of being separate. But way back, like 10 years ago, Stefano was massive in the biker circuit over there. I think he was in Sturgis a couple of years in a row. It's like some of those very first slamming tattoos that he was doing, I think, were on people out in Sturgis. And, I was amazed that there was people in Sturgis that actually gave a shit enough to get great tattoos from somebody like Stefano. Yeah. But right now you wouldn't catch me. I mean, I just don't have enough. I just don't have enough brain cells or enough blood in my sugar system to go fucking around with any of that at this point. I don't mind spending I'll spend another 2 years in the woods, easy. Yeah. But if you ever did, I would suggest going to Judy Parker's Knuckleheads Tattoo, and they put some cool stuff in their stories, just things happening. I know they posted on their Facebook, basically about like bringing in artists just for this time. They're only open at that time. So that was pretty cool to see. They're obviously people did not do anything last year, so I was sure. I've never been myself, but it's always cool to see that shop going strong.
That's fun. And so Judy Parker's shop's right there in Sturgis.
Yep, Knuckleheads Tattoo.
Awesome.
So I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't know much about it because I've never actually been there. So.
Can you pull that live feed up one more minute? I didn't get to look at it. It was just up for a split second. I'm just curious how many shots they have. Is it all kind of bird's eye views like that? You don't get.
Yeah, it was a bird's eye. Just a bird's eye view. But I mean,
don't get any real. Yeah, that would be great. People watching, I feel like if they had some closer up cameras, I could just sit there for hours. I would think and watch that.
Yeah. So I know that on their Facebook they do make posts about artists that are going to come. Guest artists are announced yearly. So if Sturgis is something like for any reason that you guys want to do next year, just kind of keep an eye on pages like Knuckleheads.
Yeah. Someone that tuned in on the morning drawing group, the Reinventing morning drawing group, probably a month or two ago now.
Fuck, I'm trying to remember the name. I feel bad now.
Yeah, I don't remember the guy's name. But they had a whole crew going and tattooing at Sturgis, and I remember thinking at the time, like, Well, that's probably the kind of place that would be, like the frying pan of learning. If you're a beginning tattooer, a younger tattooer, like different types of skin, different like amounts of sun damage, seeing tattoos from all, aged from all, from brand new, fresh tattoos to 50-year-old tattoos and everything in between. I bet it would be a great learning experience for any tattooer to go. I don't want to personally, but that would be a great experience for everyone except for me to go to go check out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
the last thing I was going to touch on is totally odd, and not odd because it's relevant, but I'm just curious concerning. I can share a little model that I have. It's super boring, guys, and I apologize for being that person, but I'm just going to show you this model that actually exists. So when talking about the COVID vaccine and getting tattooed, if you guys can see, they're saying don't get a tattoo within 1 month of getting the vaccine, and either way, no tattoo after the vaccination, 30 to 60 days. They also talk about where the vaccine would actually go, and they recommend if you're going to get it and you have tattoos on both of your arms, choose a space within the tattoo without pigment. So I was just wondering if anybody has voiced concern, whether in your chair or that you've heard in your shop or studios about that type of stuff.
Where
But
did
it's
that come from? Sorry, I was not paying attention. Where did that come from?
Science Direct. So it was their
Science
website.
Direct.
Yeah. How public this image has been, but I guess I haven't really thought about it.
I mean, I don't know Science Direct. So generally, when I'm looking at science stuff, I'll try to chase it down a little bit.
Yep.
I mean, presuming there's some sort of peer-reviewed, study behind it, and not just some, inherent institutional paranoia about tattoos.
Yep.
I mean, it can't hurt to, try to avoid inked skin. Although I'd be interested to know if there was any other studies on any other vaccines. So my guess would be that must have been other studies with other vaccines that have a way more like time and case studies.
Within the past 15 years, I forget exactly, there's 13 cases of tattoo and small body impacts that people had within the smallpox vaccine, and they actually developed it in that location. So some people are scared, but it's totally based on myths and misconceptions. There's that you could develop anything in the area of getting the vaccine, but there are questions about it. So if you do dig deeper, there's a doctor with a PhD in France, I believe, that's studying this more in depth. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, the ground rules they were saying, and they're putting out there, whether false or not, was basically a tattoo on a recent, or don't get the vaccine on a recent tattoo, which is pretty common.
Yeah, I mean,
but that would be.
Yeah, that would be common sense. So maybe I misunderstood when you first brought it up. You said if you do get the vaccine through a tattoo, get it in a hollow place of the tattoo. Is that only for fresh tattoos, or you're talking about for healed tattoos as well?
The author who wrote this article was bringing up, he actually took a picture of where he got his vaccine, and there was, half sleeve on his arm, and he chose to get the vaccine in the middle of the owl's eye where there was no pigment. So that image that I shared basically recommends, if you have the choice, you have to do it preferably on your arm, maybe a spot without it. And they're just, I guess, it's maybe a fear tactic of possibly develop or any type of thing, or, Yeah, I found that super interesting.
If you're disrupting like the skin, and you're more likely to have a reaction, with pigmented skin, I suppose, than non-pigmented skin.
No, nothing conclusive has came out of that, but they are, I guess, scientifically investigating. So
there were years where you couldn't give blood too, right? That was the other one. If you gave blood, you couldn't. Or if you got tattooed, you couldn't give blood for 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Right. Yeah, and that one, I guess I understood more back whenever I used to hear that. I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but just because of, I don't know, the likelihood of bloodborne pathogens or whatever, if you're giving blood and maybe you've contracted something through the tattoo if it's only a week old that you don't know about yet. That understood. That's strange with the vaccine, though, particularly for healed tattoos. Yeah, we need some smarter people than us to
Yeah, definitely
help dive into that.
deeper. We can dig
Yeah.
deeper and touch on it next week when I see what their research has said. Inconclusive, but I guess my first interest was why 30 days before or 30 to 60 days after.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
well, this is interesting. So, Ms. Ross, a regular in the looks like this is the Tattoo Now YouTube channel. I've had an issue with a client who got the vaccine in a healed pigmented area that is now lacking pigment where it wasn't lacking before. I had seen it healed before he got the vaccine.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
plopping
interesting.
shit into your skin is definitely well, there you go. I guess I wonder if that's a reaction to the pigment or just a regular skin reaction. The pigment just happens to be in the way, or
So
I
this was a healed tattoo that they had seen healed before. There was a vaccine in the area of the tattoo, and pigment disappeared. Is what
that
they're
is
saying?
what the report is, and this is someone I think she's on. I think Miss Ross.
Oh yeah, I know
The
that name.
YouTube.
I think
Yeah.
I know that name. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Crazy.
think she's comes in on the front. I just don't remember the name. I can't connect the dots.
Yeah.
It is
Oh.
interesting. I was re-listening to the chemist, Lauren. I don't know if you had a chance to get back in touch with them for Paradise, but I was re-listening to what the guy was saying. The chemist, I think his name was Chris. He's in the
John Swerk.
or John. There we go, John Swerk, and he was basically like, everyone, just kind of presumes that you laser the pigments and they blast up and they turn into smaller particles and they get flushed out of the system. He was like, I'm not sure anybody's really studied exactly how they get flushed out of the system. That's what I'm doing. I'm not convinced they do that. So there is definitely a fair amount of like, who the fuck really knows? People aren't really, studying it or haven't had enough time to really study some of these things.
Yeah.
I do really appreciate if people are one of the resources that I listen to is the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, and it's basically a group of skeptics. So they're very science minded. They started off. The culture started off as like debunkers, debunking magicians and whatnot. But it basically, again, they push on science and they're very they're skeptical. It's a skeptic's guide to the universe. So that's just a fun once a week podcast to listen to. It's not too much.
Yeah. To jump topics back, Ganjuana says Sturgis traffic has been their bread and butter for the last 2 weeks.
Cool.
So there you go. Yeah. Then he said bikers with hepatitis A, B, C, and D. I hope not. I hope not.
You
Speaking
always
of
have to presume that everybody is, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Right. Yeah.
speaking of hepatitis, I thought it was interesting to see like the health department requirements when traveling to conventions, how it's so different from state to state.
Yeah.
And of course, in Golden State, they do require the proof of the hep vaccine, which is fine,
Yeah.
but it's just so much, so different everywhere.
I did one just before COVID in North Dakota that required the vaccine. It's funny as getting to know people who are promoters who are putting on tattoo conventions and their relationships with their county health department. And some have it's smooth sailing. There's not much that guest artists have to do for a weekend. And then some it's like jumping through so many hoops that it's almost like they need to hire 3 more staff members to help get through the hoops of helping tattooers tattoo for 3 days in their town.
We almost had to hire all of our guests on as part-time employees.
Oh wow!
It cost another $10,000 in lawyer fees to stop that one in Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, perfect example. Like that kind of thing I hear a lot talking to different promoters and just going and just tattooing at doing conventions as often as I have over the years.
Sure.
You just really never know what you're going to get into. I've just learned that it's best to start early and be prepared to fill out a lot of paperwork and make a lot of or send a lot of copies of your license and your vaccinations and all the other kind of stuff. And I'm sure we'll add something more to that as with COVID, we'll probably have to show our COVID cards to tattoo before too long as well. So.
Yep.
Yeah. One, I know we're probably over here. Gabe, you got one more thing to show. So, Sugar Waters said, Sugar Waters and Ganjuana are having a conversation on the Fireside page, and they're talking about the the push in regulations. And Ganjwana says that pretty soon you'll need a degree in dermatology in order to tattoo. And Lauren, I know you've been pretty involved in all that, so I just wanted to give you the opportunity if they wanted to learn more, either of them, about what's happening in the world of tattoo regulation. Where do you recommend that they go?
I guess it's all over the place. I mean, I can't necessarily off the top of my head, but the European panel has a lot of information if you want to look at international, and obviously the Coalition for Tattoo Safety, but there's a lot of information floating around that you really need to dig for. I can't think of one in a certain language, but check out the new REACH regulations if you're interested to see what you can expect. Companies from all over the world, those go into effect in January of 2022. So it will affect a lot of the American manufacturers. So if you want to be in the know, I would definitely suggest looking up the European panel.
Yeah.
But we do have, maybe this is a good closing question, or maybe I don't know if we want to do this before or after the next video, but you guys can vote it out. Hunter Young says, this is my first time coming into this show. What separates this one from all of the other series? Well, for one, it's amazing that we have so many other series. But you guys want to tackle what makes the Tattoo Weekly a unique show?
I can talk about what whenever we first my kind of vision for it whenever we first pitched the show, and it hopefully it evolves into that and becomes what we all envision it to be. But I wanted to see kind of a news outlet for current events in tattooing. Of course, we're going to use it to promote our own individual channels because we're selfish like that. We think we need to know about what we're doing. But the greater
I need to pay the bills.
That's right. We need to pay the bills. But really, the greater good is so much is happening in the world of tattooing that almost all of us miss out on. And so our goal with it is to break it into segments where we're talking about whether it's kind of hot button issues or just things that we feel like tattooers in the tattoo community need to know about, in addition to what's happening in in the worlds of reinventing Tattoo Now and Fireside Tattoo Network.
If you're only going to catch 1 hour of tattoo TV a week.
Yeah. And we haven't, in all honesty, we haven't gotten there at all. And we haven't gotten there yet, but that is the goal of the show. We're kind of feeling it out. And really, this is the 5th time that the 3 of us have been on camera together and just getting a feel for how the 3 of us even work together. So you guys are getting to see us work out the kinks.
Yeah, we definitely share a unique perspective, but we have all of our own at the end of the day. I get interested in the nerdy kinds of topics, but we do have a lot of cool equipment that we can talk forever about. We want to see what we can do in the back with all the technologies in the last year, with stuff that we know.
Speaking of the technologies, Lauren, Jake and I, we did officially schedule the Fireside Tattoo podcast roundtable, where we get all of the podcasty show video nerds together
at the Paradise Tattoo
so
awesome.
on the main stage. Yeah, so everyone, if you're a podcaster who's going to be at the Paradise Tattoo or Paradise BYOB, make sure to bring all your coolest gear so we can test it out and play with it. It'll be really boring for everyone except for us.
Speaking of that, we should at one point highlight some of our favorite podcasters and other content creators within the industry, because I'm seeing some really cool stuff. I'll definitely say that I love watching Tony Lawson. He's just funny. He's got cool camera equipment and stuff. Obviously, Jake, I've watched you for years.
Maybe next week. Maybe we could reconvene like tomorrow or the next day, and pick that theme or pick a guest and see if we can bring a guest in so that And then if we tighten everything up, we'd be stuck at a 90-minute show probably.
Well, maybe we could probably have cut this down a little bit. Another thing too, Hunter, our goal also is to clip this thing down and make it a more concise show. So we'll do the live version, pull it down, clip it into a more concise show. That'll be, that'll cut out a lot of the ums and ahs and fumbling to get our clips up, and that you can go back and watch on a Tattoo Weekly YouTube channel. And so if you wanted to get a snippet of what's happening in the tattoo world, hopefully you'll be able to do that in the coming weeks and months.
Cool.
All
Well, so
right.
Lauren, you want to run the last video? This one's of Hunter Spanks, full-on traditional watercolor flash guy. So I'm wicked ecstatic to be to interviewing him. Usually the old school guy, more and more, but sometimes the old school people don't necessarily care about computer geeks like me. I guess I'm not a young computer geek anymore, but 20 years ago when they used to beat me up. No, they didn't beat me up. But anyways, it's fun to hang out with the old school guys. They really do have a love for tattooing, of course. So it's fun to see the different flavors. Welcome to the Tattoo Now and the Reinventing Tattoo YouTube channel. This Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard, we have a great interview with the one and only Hunter Spanks. He's been working in the traditional scene for a wicked long time. 10 years ago, he was at the Paradise Tattoo Gathering teaching a traditional watercolor session, and a lot of people had a great time. He's actually doing it again at the BYOB, October 3rd to the 6th. But you can see here from his portfolio, he's got an amazing sense of tradition, but he's got a great humor. He's doing new things. And it's always a pleasure to check out his portfolio. I mean, he works at the Baltimore Tattoo Museum, so that in and of itself has got to be awesome just to work amongst all of the history. But he tattoos every day, things that walk in through the door. You'll see his portfolio. You know, he's got great pieces that are custom and unique, but he does walk-ins. He'll do text. He's got Roman numerals. He is a real tattooer. It's pretty awesome. And I'm very honored that he'll speak with a computer geek like me. So that is this Wednesday at 12 noon. And if you're watching this trailer, I think you're in the right spot. And we'll be talking about, for one, how we got into doing water and the traditional scene. He does a lot of benefits. So we'll talk to him about what he gets out of doing the benefits and who we should be supporting as far as he's concerned. He's also doing like art shows all over the place. And anyways, this is Wednesday at noon. Please join us. You can always check out the replays and stuff, but we'd love to see you in the chat room. Oh, and if you like the tunes, Transmission 6 on Spotify. That's a Hunter's band. Haha. Hunter's been around. It's fun. He has a bunch of work up on the Tattoo Flash Collective, which is one of the more prestigious of the tattoo royalty-ish kind of crews, like Ruben Dahl and Henning and all those guys are in there. And but Hunter also has stuff up in like the Solon Art Collective, and so it's fun to, like I said, just being part of and watching the different artists and everybody kind of get along with each other is really fun, and it's actually very motivating. It really makes me appreciate tattooing more and more every day. Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Comes out this coming Wednesday.
So that's this Wednesday. Yeah, I'm doing that live, and then I'm taking a week off because I'm dropping my daughter off at college, and then. Fawn Baker, we'll do an interview, a Tattoo Now interview with Fawn Baker. So that'll be like a one-on-one interview with her. And then Thea Duskin and Christian Perez. So pretty much every Wednesday, except for next Wednesday, from here on out, we'll be doing some sort of Tattoo Now show again. Pretty psyched to spend a little bit more time doing that kind of content.
Our event schedule in August is going to be pretty cool. We've got an art jam with Bruno Sabatiera on the 18th.
Wow.
Tony Urbanic just signed up. Renee Little is going to be doing a paint jam. So I'm excited. Awesome. You guys can always find that schedule at community.reinventingthetattoo.com.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Ganjuana loves the Mars Attacks Flash.
Yes.
I do love Mars Attacks. All right. Well, is that a wrap, everyone? Have we said it all?
Yeah, definitely. And then just stay on the line, you guys. So we can disconnect properly.
Sounds good. Thanks again, and we'll catch up.